Oh, good morning and welcome to the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living, coming to you from Sheraton Four Points. My name is Mary Ann Atwell Hardy, and I'm a licensed spiritual practitioner here, and I welcome you. And we're going to start this morning, as we always do, preparing ourselves and preparing the space with about 15 minutes of meditation. And then the service will start at 10:15. So I invite you at this point to just get comfortable wherever you are. Straight spine helps. Keep that channel flowing. And focus, when you take a deep breath, focus on the pause that comes between the in-breath and the out-breath. Because the pause is not absence, the pause is presence. So I invite you to take a very deep breath in and let it out. And if you will keep going with some deep breaths, I'm going to read from 365 Days of Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. God within me is truth, beauty, harmony, and wholeness. And from Job, the line is, the Spirit of God hath made me. Ernest Holmes writes, divine perfection is already within us. Being forever perfect and complete, we need no reunion with God, because God is already in our every act, every thought, every movement. God is in our every plan, purpose, and performance. The divine presence within us creates every circumstance and situation we have ever experienced. We've called these circumstances and situations things in themselves, but they never have been. They have been the fruition of our thought, and our thought has always been dominated by our belief. By our use of the law of freedom, we create either bondage or liberty. Not that bondage really exists, but the possibility of using freedom in a limited way does exist. The restriction is not in the principle, but in our use of it. If limitation were a thing in itself, we couldn't change it. But since it's merely an experience, why not use our imagination to enlarge that experience? When we do this, we will find the life principle within us responds just as quickly to a broader outline. Whatever we mentally see and spiritually comprehend, we may objectively experience, for the divine presence within us is not limited to any one experience. It is the creator of all experience. Today, my eyes are open more widely, and I look out upon a broader horizon. Across all experiences I may have had that were limited or unpleasant, I now see the rosy hue of a new dawn. Letting go of that which is little, I now enter into a larger concept of life. Dropping all fear, I entertain faith. Realizing that every form of uncertainty is seeing only in part, I open my spiritual eyes to that which is wholeness, which is greater and better. So, taking that truth, holding it in your heart, we're going to just listen to some music and get quiet for about 15 minutes. want to thank each of you for participating. Not only does it open our individual hearts and minds so that we can hear and be prepared for what comes next, but it also gives back to the world our peace, our love, our calm, and that does make a difference. So holding on to that, we will meet at 10:15 for the service. Thank you.
in the room, and welcome to all of you who have invited us into your homes this morning. We're very grateful that you have. Thank you so very much. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Dusty Rippelmeyer, and I have the honor and privilege of being this community's spiritual director. We are part of a larger organization called Centers for Spiritual Living. Centers for Spiritual Living believes that there is one power and presence back of everything that there is. Some call this power and presence God or first cause or Jesus or love or nature or perhaps nothing at all. But the truth of it is that it is the very essence of peace, of joy, of creativity, of abundance, of love, of freedom, of all things good. Not some God off on a cloud someplace that's doling out punishments and favors at whim, but really an energy that is within us that is always benevolent, always present, and always ready, willing, and able to give us the kingdom of heaven. So we come together to support each other on this spiritual path, to remind each other who we are, to remember the truth for one another when someone can't remember that truth, and to just celebrate all of the wins and support each other through all of the perhaps harder times that we go through as we walk this human experience. We know that God is creative, and because we were created in its image and likeness, we too are creative. We create the experiences of our lives. And so for me, that's the really good news, because if I don't like some particular experience that I'm going through, I can change it. Change your thinking, change your life. And it's not just a bumper sticker. It is really a spiritual principle, one that we teach and one that we really believe in. So we're very, very glad that you have joined us this morning. Thank you. We have a flower dedication this morning, and today's flower dedication is from Carol Cross on behalf of the entire TCSL family. She says, today's two-part flower dedication is in honor of our digital dynamic duo, our angels of AV, Heather and Ava. They have both been absent the past few weeks, and we celebrate them and their return to the community. We have missed the light and love energy that they bring wherever they go. In Heather's case, a couple of weeks ago, she had an accident and broke her ankle and lower leg, which, of course, as you can imagine, restricts her movements and will do so for quite a while. For most people, the difficulty of getting around with such an injury would be reason enough to stay home and watch the service online. But not our Heather. She not only came in, but is serving as practitioner today while also helping out with AV. As if having a broken leg wasn't enough, she had another compelling reason for staying home. Today is her birthday. But her love for our community and her dedication to service drove her to be here today despite any circumstances. We celebrate Heather for her love and her commitment to not only her own spiritual growth, but for supporting the spiritual growth of others. Despite pain and physical injury, she retains her sunny disposition, her focus towards caring for others, her responsibility for our center, and her deep spiritual principles. For those who have been in our spiritual community this past year, everyone has a story about how she has uplifted us, enlightened us, supported us, and loved us. We give thanks for the past 365 days with her in our lives and look forward to an even better days in the coming year. And for Ava, formerly Ava Ladocha, is now welcoming her back with the new name of Ava Ingram. On Sunday, October 15th, in a beautiful sunlit field, surrounded by family and friends, Ava married the love of her life, David Ingram. On that day, Ava, who on an average day is merely beautiful and luminous, was gorgeous and incandescent as she exchanged her vows with her partner in life. After a heartfelt marriage celebration, Ava went on a honeymoon cruise to the Bahamas, and being the open and inclusive person that she is, invited all of the wedding guests to come along. That is family building on an epic level. Truly. We honor and support Ava as she enters this new phase in her life. And finally, we acknowledge both of these women for the great examples they set in terms of community service. To paraphrase a famous Buddhist saying, before accident or marriage, come to the center, serve others. After accident or marriage, come to the center, serve others. You both demonstrate that community carries on through both the highlights and the maybe not so great lights of our lives. Thank you both for being master teachers of devotion. With love from Carol Cross and your entire TCSL community. And speaking of gratitude and love, I would just like to extend some love and gratitude to Marianne Hardy for the beautiful meditation that she did earlier that expanded and deepened the container that our service will unfold within today. So thank you very much, Marianne. And now please welcome her back to the podium.
Good morning again. The theme for the year 2022 is Living Everyday Wonder. Our theme for the month of October is Finance. And Rev Dusty's talk title today is Prove Me Now. I'm now going to read our community's purpose statement, which is our reason for being here. Our purpose is to inspire, educate, and empower individuals to experience themselves as unique and individualized expressions of God, the love intelligence that governs the universe. We are committed to not merely a theoretical understanding of our oneness and unity with God, but to consciously practice this truth in our everyday lives. Through celebration, service, study, and fellowship, we are committed to the transformation of our personal lives and to being a powerful and beneficial presence on the planet. With the energy of unconditional love, simply, we are here for God. So I invite you to just get quiet, to turn within. We will hear the sound of the crystal bowls. And I encourage you to just relish as the sounds of the bowls fade.
I now welcome you to bring your attention back into your bodies, back into your rooms. And now, the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living honors the diversity and threads of truth that run through all spiritual paths, as represented by this ceremony. Please welcome Casey and Sandy, as they will be assisting us this morning in our ceremony. Thank you, gentlemen. Christianity is the path of Christ consciousness, love, and forgiveness. Buddhism is the path of compassion and understanding. Judaism is the ethical path of living by sacred law. Baha'i is the path of unity and peace. Islam is the path of submission to the will of God, the highest calling. Confucianism is the path of deliberate tradition. Taoism is the natural way, the path of ultimate reality. Native American practice and shamanic traditions are the paths of primal spirituality. Shintoism is the path of tribal ancestry. Hinduism is the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Science of mind and spirit is the path of the divine principle of love and law. And the heart represents the one heart, the one love that resides at the center of all people and all beings everywhere, with no exceptions. May peace prevail on earth through the followers of all paths. And so it is. Thank you. I now ask you to turn within, please, as I speak a word of blessing on today's service. Recognizing in this moment that amazing feeling when I sink into knowing that Spirit is here, is everywhere, always, infinitely. I know that source as love, as peace, as amazing joy. I know that in the swaying of the trees, I know that in the crashing of the waves, I know that in the warm embrace of a hug. When my heart is full, I sink into knowing that I am feeling Spirit. On today, especially today, my heart is full. And I'm so grateful to know in this moment that God is as close as my skin. I am one with all of that. All of that peace, love, and happiness is who I am as a child of God, as a human incarnation of this spiritual being, living my life to show God a good time, living life experiencing these five senses so that God can experience what I'm experiencing. I recognize that Spirit is my source, that it fuels me, funds me, guides me, heals me, loves me in every conceivable way. I'm so grateful to know that as the truth of me, as I know that as the truth of each of us, that we are all one. There is no separation between each of us, between ourselves and Spirit, between ourselves and every being on earth. I speak a word of blessing on this celebration service today, knowing that it is a whole and complete, beautiful, perfect happening, already complete in the mind of God. I bless our community, our beloved community that makes up this amazing center that allows us to gather together in class and in celebration of fellowship through services and social events. What a blessing. I speak a word of blessing on Marianne for her service today as host and meditation leader, setting the stage for this service to unfold. And a blessing on Ava as she brings in her skills for AV. A blessing on Lola and Dave as they bring their beautiful gifts of music. A blessing on all of the volunteers that came to make this job a little lighter on all of us. And a blessing on our beautiful Reverend Dusty for her guidance, for her leadership, for her love, for her presence. I'm so grateful for all of this, and for all of you. And so it is.
It is.
The reading for today is called The Wise Woman's Stone by an unknown author. A wise woman was traveling in the mountains when she came upon a beautiful, clear stream. Thirsty, she cupped her hand, reached in, and brought the water to her mouth. After she had drunk, she noticed a precious stone in the palm of her hand. She held it high, and it glistened in the sun. Delighted, she tucked the treasure into her bag. The next day, the wise woman met a hungry fellow traveler, and without hesitating, she opened her bag to share what food she had. Immediately, the traveler caught sight of the precious stone and asked the woman to give it to him. She did so without the slightest hesitation. The traveler left, rejoicing in his good fortune. This stone was surely worth enough money to provide a lifetime of security. But only a few days later, he came back, his brow furrowed, and returned the stone to the wise woman. I have been thinking, he said. I know how valuable this stone must surely be, but I brought it back to trade for something even more precious. Please give me what you have within you that enabled you to freely give me this stone. And now, to cap off that beautiful reading, please welcome the amazing, the talented, the always wonderful Lola and Dave Youngman.
Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. Every time I open my heart, I receive all that I need. Knowing that God is the source, and I let it go. Knowing that money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. And I have all that I need, and it's all inside of me. I just ask and let go, and let spirit direct the flow. Money is coming to me easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. easily and effortlessly. Money is coming to me. Money is coming to me. Money is coming to me.
Thank you very much, Dave and Lola, for that lovely Karen Drucker chant. You always got to love a Karen Drucker chant. So our theme for the month of November has been finance. And we've been having conversations all month about God's bounty, or about the need to have a prosperity consciousness, or about all of the myths and stinking thinking and old beliefs that get in the way, that don't allow us to really be in the flow of a naturally abundant universe. Now, today my talk title is entitled Prove Me Now. And if you know anything about the Bible, or you happen to have heard this conversation at some point in time over the last 12 years, you might know what I'm going to be talking about, and you'd be right. I think I would be remiss if I did not talk about tithing during a month when the theme is finance. So I have a friend of mine who has been tithing for many, many years, through thick and through thin. And she says that for her, it has been the most significant spiritual practice to prove God in her life. That could be true for some of us, but the truth is that it's also been the most significant principle that brings up the most resistance in other people. If you are someone who that feeling is coming up for you right now, I just encourage you to stay in the room, take a deep breath, and open your mind and your heart. And for those of you that have already been tithing, the truth is that we can always deepen our practice, and that you just may hear something today that you haven't ever heard before, or you haven't heard in this particular way, and you just might do that. So this morning I'm sharing some ideas around a Bible verse, and that Bible verse is Malachi 3, verse 10. And it says, "Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord, if I will not open the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing that is so great, you won't have room enough to take it in." So it is my intention today to talk about this Bible verse in a couple of different ways. And the first is to look at it from a really more traditional religious way. And the second is from a more metaphysical way. So the Old Testament often refers to this practice of tithing, and not just in Malachi. Under Levitican law, during the time of Moses, the tithe was actually a form of taxation that was required by the Hebrews. A portion of the field and a portion of the herd had to go to the government, right? So, but the tithe didn't even really originate there. Some form of tithing was practiced almost universally throughout the entire ancient world. Now, the word tithe means tenth. And for the ancient people, that number 10, they believed, was a magical number of increase. Catherine Ponder, in her book, Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, says, the ancient prosperity law is this: true prosperity has a spiritual basis. God is the source of your supply. Your mind, body, abilities, talent, education, experience, job, or profession are all instruments and channels of your prosperity, but God is the source. Therefore, you must do something definite and consistent with that rich source if you want to be consistently prospered. In Malachi, it says, "Prove me now." It is a call to action. And that action is to tithe. And the verse promises that if you do, heaven will open up and pour out a blessing so great that you will not have room to take it all in. Now, Edwene Gaines, in her book, The Four Spiritual Laws of Prosperity, clearly states this spiritual law when she says you must tithe 10% of all you receive to the person, place, or institution where you receive your spiritual food. So let's break that down a little bit. 10% of all you receive. This includes all the money that we receive, all of the financial income that we have coming in. This includes salaries, bonuses, interest earned, monetary gifts, dividends, proceeds from the sale of the house, and all of the money that we win, inherit, or find on the street. And she would say, and has said when asked, "Do you tithe on the gross or the net?" And she would say, "How much good do you want? A little or a lot?" To the person, place, or institution where you receive your spiritual food. Spiritual food is that which inspires us, that which motivates us, that which teaches us, that which reminds us of the truth, that which causes us to remember who we really are, a unique and divine expression of the divine. It can be a person, place, or institution, and it's more than okay to split your tithe and send it to more than one person, place, or institution. The promise is that if we tithe, we prove God in our lives, and the windows of heaven will open up for us. Tithing is an opportunity to thank God. Its purpose is to acknowledge that God, the invisible source behind everything that there is the source of our good, and that we are aware of and grateful for all of the good that we already have in our lives. For some of this might seem like an impossible stretch. And I understand. I have been there. While I am a tither now, I haven't always been a tither. And there was a time when I felt that resistance, when I felt that stretch. Now, I don't know how many of you have read her book or have had an opportunity to meet Edwene Gaines, that perhaps you have heard her speak before or tell her story. Now, I have had the opportunity a couple of different times in Chicago, and she is amazing. She is a power to be reckoned with. She is a powerful presence in any room. She would be the first to say, however, that it hasn't always been that way for her. When she first began to recognize the importance of tithing and to practice it in her life, she was not always sure where the money for the next meal for herself or for her child was coming from. She was often down to her last couple of dollars, and yet she was committed to the practice, and her life dramatically changed because of it. Dramatically. I think that no matter what our economic situation is, we can feel that stretch and encounter that resistance, no matter how much money we have. I once read a story about a man who struggled to tithe even though he had a large income. He said to Peter Marshall, who was the chaplain of the United States Senate at the time, I used to tithe regularly some years ago, but now I am earning $500,000 a year, and there is just no way I can afford to give $50,000. I know, we laugh. But I believe that his regular tithing practice really kept him in the flow of good and really kept continuing to give and to give and to give to him until the point where he was making $500,000 a year, and yet he was still meeting with that same resistance. He still felt that stretch. He still had the same thoughts of lack and limitation that Edwene Gaines had when she had absolutely nothing. But Edwene Gaines is clear, quite clear, even adamant. She says we can't just talk about it. We can't just read about it. We have to do it in spite of all of our fears. She says tithe even when the bills cannot be paid, and encourages us not to trust her, but to trust God. Tithe first and trust that God will assist in paying the bills. Breathe. What will happen after we have been tithing for a while is that supply will start to come in from all sorts of strange places that we never could have ever imagined or would have ever expected. I hear stories about this all of the time from people who, chose to tithe and then ended up like the next week they got a check from some source that they never even thought about before, something that they had long forgotten, somebody that they had borrowed money to and never expected to get the money back. And they get a check, and the check is for the exact amount that they tithed. An energy of excitement will seep in as we eagerly anticipate getting more money coming in so that we can give some more out. When a person commits to tithing, something inside of them begins to change. Something inside of them begins to work differently from that day forward. Now, conditions may or may not immediately change in the world of form, in their external life, right? But on the inside, on the mental, emotional, and spiritual level, this practice works wonders. And we all know that when something shifts inside of us, that ultimately things will shift on the outside. The truth is that faith expands when we give. The more we give, the more faith that we have, and the more that we realize that we cannot outgive God, as Emerson once said. Once we've been tithing for a few months, we have to be prepared to receive the good that will flow into our lives. Dare to claim that good without reservation. Drop that idea that I'm not good enough, that I'm not worthy enough, that if I accept my good, then somebody else will not get theirs, that I'm poor and I'll always be poor. All of those myths and all of those ideas that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, drop all of those. Dare to claim the good without reservation. It is our birthright. Each of us is worthy of all of the good that we can accept, but we have to be able to accept it. Remember, God cannot do for us except for what God can do through us. Remember that faith is a choice. We can choose whether to have faith or not. We can choose whether to believe that this law of tithing is the truth, and we can choose to believe that God is our source. Think about it. Have you ever really, really noticed our money? Do you think it's any coincidence that each and every single denomination of our money contains the words, "In God we trust. If we look back at the Bible, specifically at the New Testament, we see that Jesus never really talked about tithing. But what he did talk about and what he taught about was giving. Specifically, he said, "Give, and it shall be given unto you, in good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over. For with the same measure that ye meet, it shall be measured to you again." In giving, you're not giving anything away. You are giving way to the flow of God through you, giving way to the flow of good through you. You are powerfully entering into the law of giving and receiving. True giving is not something that we do to or for someone else, but your consent, your willingness to let the flow of God flow through you. There's an old saying that says, when things get tight, something's got to give. And that something is you. When you hoard your time, your talent, or your treasure, you are saying no to the flow of good in your life. But when you give, you are saying yes to life. Yes to life. While the emphasis on tithing in the strictest sense of the word is on how much you give and whom you are giving to, right? 10% to the person, place, or institution where you receive your spiritual food. The most important thing in general about tithing is, what are you giving from? Are you giving from a consciousness of lack and limitation? Or are you giving from a consciousness that really knows that we live in an abundant universe and that it is God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom of heaven? If you give to get something back, then your giving is dependent upon getting that thing back. And if you don't, then you will be depleted. If you give out of some sense of duty, then you will be depleted. But if you give out of the fullness of your heart from a cup that runneth over with love and gratitude, then you will receive the blessings that giving has to offer. You will be blessed. Eric Butterworth, in his book, In the Flow of Life, states, "We are forever in the presence of an infinite and eternal energy from which all things proceed. Thus, it is never for lack of life, substance, intelligence, or love that we experience difficulties, but because we are out of the flow of life." And one of the most effective ways of getting back into the flow is through giving. We may have been thinking lack, thinking get, or the need to get. Now we must think give. So I invite each of us to really step into knowing that having an experience of prosperity or abundance is not about our external circumstances. It's not about what we have or do not have. It's not about the money we have or do not have in our checking accounts, but that the experience of prosperity or abundance is determined by our inner state. We embody abundance when our inner state matches ease and flow. When we are open. And we can't be open if we have our hands clenched. When our inner state doesn't match ease and flow, it's impossible to experience prosperity and abundance. We speak about that idea all the time around here, as within, so without. Our inner state determines it. We create our outer lives, the world of form, from our inner state. When we give from an inner state that is steeped in God awareness and aligned with the flow of life, then giving and receiving are the same. The blessing and the blessed are one. And we'll feel it in every arena of our lives. This brings me back to Malachi 3, verse 10. Remember, it says, "Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith, saith the Lord." Prove me now, saith the Lord. On one hand, the verse has been taken quite literally as the tithing of money or bounty from the harvest. Literally 10% of everything that comes into your life. And the invitation is to try it and to prove it in your own life, to let God prove it to you. Now, this morning, on the other hand, I invite each of us to look at this idea from a more metaphysical viewpoint. Prove me now, saith the Lord. Metaphysically, the Lord means the law. Prove me now is the demonstration of the way it works, the creative power of God on the macro level and the creative power of each and every single one of us on the micro level. It is a call to action, a call to demonstrate the law of cause and effect, the law of attraction, or the law of giving and receiving. Think of the storehouse, right? Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse. Think of that storehouse as our subjective consciousness, the undifferentiated substance from which all things are made. If you have ever had foundations class, you know that we call that middle part of the teaching the subjective consciousness. That it is that undifferentiated stuff out of which everything is made. In the soil, seed, soil, plant analogy, it would be the soil, right? What we put into the storehouse of our consciousness is what we will reap. Way back in ancient times, when a farmer tithe, he put 10% back of the harvest back into the soil. He had faith that what he sowed, he would reap. Nothing more and nothing less. The farmer even took great care, right? Great care to clean the seeds. To clean the seeds so that nothing but the seeds that he wanted in the storehouse would make it into the storehouse. He was mindful that anything that was in the storehouse would ultimately go into the soil, and he wanted that soil to be as pure as possible. When he took great care in this way, if he sowed wheat, he reaped wheat and nothing else. If he sowed corn, he reaped corn and nothing else. Now, this whole tithe that we put into the storehouse of our consciousness includes our thoughts, our feelings, our ideas, our beliefs, our talent, our love, our peace, our joy, our creativity, our compassion, and yes, our treasure. What you place into the storehouse, the soil of that creative process, is what you shall reap. If you want more love in your life, you have to be more loving. If you want more peace in your life, you have to be more peaceful. The invitation is to be mindful, like the farmer, of just what you are placing into the storehouse. Put only those thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes that you want to experience, because the law, that soil, works with mechanical regularity. It cannot say yes to some seeds and no to others. Are you with me? It only says yes yes. Your wish is my command. So be mindful of what you are asking it to say yes to. I am. Every time I am with something behind it is a little prayer. It is an intention. It is the seed that you are putting into the soil of your consciousness. So we need to be very careful about what we say, what we think, what we believe, what we put into that soil. Big difference to say I am abundant or I am stupid. I am worthy or I am not worthy, right? The law can only ever say yes. If you put a carrot seed into the soil, it becomes a carrot. If you put a tomato, it becomes a tomato. It only ever says yes. When your consciousness is filled with thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes of lack and limitation, then lack and limitation will be the experience of your life. If you put thoughts of prosperity and abundance into that soil, into the storehouse of your consciousness, then your experience will be one of abundance and prosperity. The truth is, as I said before, as within, so without. Metaphysically, this Bible verse can be a call to action, an opportunity to prove the creative process in our lives. And it goes on to say in Malachi 3:10, if I will not open the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing so great that you won't have room enough to take it in. So however we look at this idea of tithing, putting God first in the matter of our finances, trusting that we live in an abundant universe, rendering a 10% portion of that which is in truth is already God's, back to God, knowing that we cannot outgive God, or standing firmly grounded in the way that the law works. That as it is given, so shall it be received, that as it is sown, so shall it be reaped. That whatever you place into the storehouse of your consciousness will become the experience of your life. And to know that we always, I mean always, have a choice in the matter. The invitation is to tithe consciously, mindfully, with faith, with joy, with love, and with gratitude, and be prepared to accept the blessing that will be poured over you. And so it is. So it is. Thank you all. I invite you to turn within for a prayer. For a wonderful opportunity to put something into the storehouse that we all can want in our lives. And as I stand here with my eyes closed, I am acutely aware of the power and presence that is back of everything that there is, that is within me and surrounding me. I can feel it there. I can feel its love, its support, its guidance, its wisdom, its joy, its love, and its abundance. I know that it is the source back of everything. And I know that I am one with it, that I am connected to it in ways that can never, ever be broken. That right where I am, God is in its fullness and in its wholeness, ready, willing, and able to give me the kingdom of heaven on earth. And just as I know that this is my truth, I know that it is absolutely true for each and every person here at 4 Points, each and every person that is watching online today, each and every person that will listen later everyone in our community, and all sentient beings on the planet. We are all divine emanations of the one source. And it's from that place of unity that I speak these words about and for each of us today, truly knowing that we are spiritual beings having a human incarnation, that we live in a universe that is abundant, and that we can tap into that abundance simply by being in alignment with it, by opening ourselves up to the flow of it, to being resonant with it, to recognizing its presence in our life and allowing it to flow through and as us. I know that there are spiritual laws just like there are physical laws in the universe, laws that work the same way all of the time for all of us with absolutely no exception. The law of giving and receiving, the law of attraction, the law of cause and effect, the law of tithing. And so what I know is that when we understand these laws, when we recognize their presence and believe in them and trust in them and lean into them, to use them consciously, with intention, with love and gratitude for their presence, for the way that it works, for our ability to use them, our lives dramatically change. Like Edwene Gaines, who lived much of her life in lack and limitation, but recognized the importance of these spiritual laws and step powerfully into them. We too can step powerfully into them and change our lives as dramatically as she did. I claim ease and grace for each of us around doing that, whether we have very little money or whether we have a lot of money. To know beyond a shadow of a doubt that God is our source, not anything external to us, not our bank account, not our job. God. And that we are one with it. And it is so willing to be there. I'm so grateful to know this truth and to speak these words. So grateful for the power of prayer, the way this creative process works, this law that only ever says yes, knowing that I can be very particular about what I ask it to say yes to. That we all can be very particular about what we say yes to. It just takes a little awareness. So I release these words into that law, letting go and letting God be God. And I invite each and every single one of us, whether we're here or at home, to simply anchor this prayer for ourselves, for each other, for our community, and for the world, simply by saying, and so it is. And so it is. Amen. Thank you all so very much. Now is the time for our conscious giving. Speaking of giving, you know this always comes after that. I didn't set this up to come after it this time. It's nice that it did, but it always does. So the Triangle Center for Spiritual Living is sustained by the giving of our time, talent, and treasure. And it is this time every week that we offer financial support to assist this community to continue to be a beacon of light and warmth and love in the Greater Triangle area. Together, we affirm that today's offering lifts this community, prospers the one giving, and adds to the energy of sufficiency on the planet. There are a number of different ways that you can give. Number one, visit our website at www.trianglecsl.org. Number two, text the word give using the following number, 919-230-8445, or you can send a check to our address at P.O. Box 4062, Cary, North Carolina, 27519. I just invite everyone to place your gift on your heart with an intention for yourself or for this community. And we'll say our offering affirmation in a call and response. I live in an abundant universe that blesses and prospers my life. I give with gratitude, knowing that God is my source. And so it is. Thank you all so very much for your generosity. And now, be generous with your cheers and clapping to welcome back Lola and Dave to the stage.
Dusty, that was so great what you said, and I really am so happy that I'm here today. And I'm going to meet with Heather afterwards and up my amount that I'm doing the auto pay thing.
Lovely.
Because
Thank you, Lola.
it really, yeah. Dusty always moves me so much. You know that. You guys know that. Okay. Now, what we're going to do with this song, this is actually another chant. I'm going to sing a little bit at the beginning, and then when I sing prosperity, I want you to copy me, sing it back to me. In fact, everything I sing, this whole song, sing it back to me. This is called call and response. Except right in the beginning, you don't have to. What do I want? What do I desire? What will bring me to my highest good? What do I want? What do I desire? What will bring me to my highest good? Here we go. Prosperity, I claim it. Abundance is mine. Love flows through me. I feel joy all the time. I can have it. I deserve it. I claim it. It is mine. I can have it. I deserve it. I am it. It is mine. Peace fills my heart. I surrender everything. Health is my birthright. Passion helps me sing. I release and let go. I accept what is mine. I can have what I want, and let spirit direct the flow. Life is good. Life is fun. Life is great. This song is done.
Ended too quick.
Thank you, Casey. Yeah, I wasn't going to sit back here and talk. Okay. Sorry. All right, here I am. If anyone would like prayer, if anyone would like to play or have prayer, please go to our website at trianglecsl.org. On the home page, there's a button in the upper right-hand corner. Click on that button and fill in the request form. We will get that prayer and send it out to all of our ministers and practitioners, and we will know that for you all week long. If anyone would like to dedicate a flower dedication to anyone for anything, please send an email to info@trianglecsl.org or to Reverend Dusty at dustyrippelmeyer@yahoo.com. Join us next Sunday, our first Sunday of November 6th, for our monthly Lunch Bunch birthday celebration. In November, we will be going to Firebird's Wood-Fired Grill at 3200 Village Marketplace in Morrisville, just down the road. Hope you can join us. This is a save the date announcement. For Sunday, November 20th, we will be having a Thanksgiving potluck. It's been a minute since we've done that. Please bring a dish to share and join us for fellowship following the service. And if you plan to join us, please send us an RSVP to info@trianglecsl.org with your dish and how many will be joining us. Help us better plan. Thank you. This is a save the date announcement for Saturday, December 24th. We will be having a Christmas Eve candlelight service. The service will be here at 4 Points by Sheridan at 7:00 p.m. Karen Daly and Cindy Johnson will be here to share their beautiful gift of music. We will follow that by a dessert potluck. And so we invite you to come for the sacred candlelight service and stay for the fellowship. Again, please send us an RSVP for that as well. And another save the date. It's that time of the year, folks. For our New Year's Eve service on Saturday, December 31st, join us as we look at the spiritual practice of letting go and express our willingness to do so in our annual Burning Bowl ritual. The service will be at 4 Points by Sheraton here at 7 p.m. And then the following day, please join us Sunday, January 1st, here for our Sunday service, which will be our New Year's Day service, followed by our visioning, which is one of my favorite rituals of the year to kick it off. And we will, after our visioning, we'll be creating our own vision boards to guide us through the year. Now, here at Sheraton and in the comfort of your own homes, please stand for our October affirmations. There are some sheets on your chairs. If you'd like to take them home, you're welcome to. This is a call and response. Please say it with me, with meaning, and repeat after me. The universe is infinite abundance, constantly flowing and expressing.
The universe is infinite abundance, constantly flowing and expressing.
In this infinite ocean, there is no lack or limitation.
In this infinite ocean, there is no lack or limitation.
Today, I vow to take my foot off the hose and let the natural abundance of the universe flow freely in my life.
Today, I vow to take my foot off the hose and let the natural abundance of the universe flow freely in my life.
Clearing my consciousness of congestion and restriction, I open my life to God's circulation as money.
Clearing my consciousness of congestion and restriction, I open my life to God's circulation as money.
Money is a form of divine energy, and it flows to and through me as I let loose old stories about it that no longer serve me.
Money is a form of divine energy, and it flows to and through me as I let loose old stories about it that no longer serve me.
Giving and receiving come naturally to me as I joyfully participate in the divine flow.
Giving and receiving come naturally to me as I joyfully participate in the divine flow.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you for that. You may be seated. And once again, please turn within as I speak of word of gratitude for what has transpired here today. Thanking Spirit, thanking each of you as we are all one, sitting in that unity of gratitude for the universe, for divine wisdom, for divine intelligence, for that incredible energy, whether it is our gifts, our creativity, our finances, our health, knowing that it is all source. They are all gifts that we receive having this human experience. I am so grateful to recognize that unity that I experience as being one with Spirit. knowing those gifts are imbued in me. And from that place of unity, knowing that we each have those same gifts. They are ours to share. They are ours to receive. I'm so grateful to know these truths, to practice these truths each and every day, to be open to saying that yes to those seeds I want to sow, to those plants that I want to harvest. So grateful for this beautiful service that took place today to remind us how to sit a little more comfortably on this journey of opening up to our unity, to accepting, to giving, and to being all the more in the flow of it all. I'm so grateful, and I ask you to please anchor this with me for each and every one of us with our words, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you all, everybody, for joining us today. Have a really wonderful week. We'll see you next Sunday. I love you. Take care.